My name's Kailee Jones and this is my director's commentary on my short experimental film, Obedient. The objective of this experimental film is to bring awareness to one of the biggest issues plaguing society, conformity. It explores the idea of how it influences behaviour. I went through many ideas when trying to decide what I would use for this short experimental film. I thought of the idea while researching artists for my art appraising task. I came across Brent Godfrey, who uses the painting process to translate objects, figures, and landscapes into a physical metaphor. His work gave me the idea to focus on conformity, identity, and social conventions. I want the film to be confronting like the issues I explore within it. This gave me my basis for the design. Experimental filmmakers such as Stephen Arnold and David Lynch inspired my style for the experimental film with their films. This is what prompted me to portray conformity in such a confronting and strange way. I left the film up to interpretation, and I chose to put the title of the film at the end to either reinforce the audience's interpretation or shut them down, and also not to conform to the usual way of doing things. The film changed slightly from the original design, as I had more of an idea of what I wanted when I was in the production stage. The film was meant to begin with a time-lapse of reversing cars. This wasn't the case. I did have shots of cars, but they were not prominent, because I wanted the theme to be not as prominent so the audience can bring their own ideas to the meaning instead of it being so literal. My previous idea of having positive conformity, negative conformity, and the consequences of them both also didn't really happen. I decided to focus on the negative effects of conformity on somebody. By having a black substance appear throughout the film, this symbolised the negative more specifically and how it affects individuals. I also conveyed this idea more in post-production than production. The start of the film opens up with this girl, who can relate to an audience of girls, smiling. She's standing in the middle of a field, with no one or no rules around, and because of this she is happy. The shots quickly cut so that we get a close-up of her face. It then is disrupted, with black ink superimposed over the screen, and her mouth gradually black. I did this by pouring ink in a glass of water and filming it, and adjusting the saturation to make it black. The blackness in the girl's mouth is achieved by charcoal. This represents society. It's engulfing this girl physically and mentally, and the audience can experience that firsthand. It then cuts to her, still happy, but is she really? The superimposed clips disorientate her and the audience, which represents the confusion and forcefulness of conformity. The film then cuts to this girl standing in a town at night. The town symbolises community and structure, and while the girl is standing in the middle of it, the blackness is superimposed over the top, and the decision to shoot at night reinforces the loneliness she feels in such an open place. These shots are colour graded to feel cold, which then creates an empty and nothingness feeling. The shots in the town are then played over top of the shots in the field. This compares the loneliness and isolation with freedom and liberty the girl is feeling due to conformity. The shadow of the girl in the town then appears. The blackness continues, and this time it embodies her. Another prominent shot in the film is a tree. The tree is dead, and it symbolises lack of existence, and is played over the blackness. All of this is then reversed along with the black ink. This symbolises the effects of conformity and the effects of not conforming. The girl with the blackness within her is not real, but the girl who is pure and happy. It finishes by having the girl in a field happy again, as there is no longer that sense of pressure by the blackness or society. The audio accompanying the experimental film is loud and disorientating to match the clips. This is also to symbolise the confronting effect of conformity. There are lyrics emphasised with the shots and different parts of the sound played over top of each other. This symbolises the repetitive nature of the film. There are sound effects also playing on top of the audio, but the sound effects won't synchronise with the video they are supposed to be giving effect to. This will symbolise the rebel of conformity and its attached behaviours. The film matches the storyboarding and treatment with the exception of the mirror shots, which I filmed and decided to not use while I was editing due to the fact it would be too cliche and not match the style I was trying to achieve. I also filmed the girl standing in a crowded shopping centre, but also decided not to use these shots as the girl wasn't wearing the correct outfit and it felt out of place. The film was screened in front of a group of my peers. While the film played, the reactions differed. Some were uncomfortable and others enjoyed it. The audience developed a general idea of the film through discussion and also provided me with their own interpretations from which they drew off of their own experiences. I feel the film was successful in challenging them, therefore I wouldn't change any of the symbolic codes I used. I had to make it somewhat relatable and understandable, yet experimental at the same time. Overall, I am happy with the film and the way an audience reacts to it.